Hey there guys, this is CP Cards and Dice, and I wanted to do a quick video on this cutting board. It's a Lesion cutting board. I think it's $13 or $14. You can get it on eBay, and it does a heck of a job. All right, helping us cut out PDFs. Here I have some deep drive PDFs, and I want to show you how to use this. Basically, you're going to line it up. You're going to push it against the top. You're going to line it up. And once I line that up, then I make sure it's about a correct distance within the inside. I bring this blade up, and that looks about right. I may want to make it just, I'm going to double check it and just push it. That looks good there. This looks good here. So I think that's about right. And that's perfect, the perfect cut. Look how simple that was, right? So then I'm splitting it around. Now I'm cutting out the deep drive PDFs because they only come in PDFs. So even if I wanted to get it in a different format, they don't have it. So you're forced, if you want to play the game, to separate these sheets. Now, one of the issues and about PDFs, like a lot of times there's a lot of companies now that offer PDFs in addition to the printed cards. And what's the difference? I wanted to just talk about that a little bit. And, you know, when you buy a PDF, it's going to require some work. It's going to require a little bit of computer savviness. It's going to require a printer. It's going to require some, I like 1/10 card stock. You also have like 60-something pound card stock. That's a lot flimsier. It's the one that Stratomatic uses for their cards. 110 is a little bit heavier and sturdier. I use that. That costs a little bit. I think 250 sheets can run you about $17. You don't use all the sheets, but you use a lot of the sheets, believe it or not. Also, the ink cartridges are going to be used up. You also have to keep an eye on what's going on when it's printing. You got to keep an eye on what exactly is how it's coming out, so you don't want the wrong thing to be happening, or so it takes a little bit of time and energy. And then you got to do this part, this cutting part, right? This is another aspect of preparing the card. So this is time consuming. So while I'm doing this, guess what I'm not doing? I'm not rolling the dice. And our time is finite. So ultimately, how much am I saving when I order a PDF? It seems like you're saving a lot, right? Because the PDF is $12, $15, $19, something to that effect. And you're like, hell, man, the cards are $60. I get everything for $20, so I'm saving $40. But at the end of the day, when it comes to, you don't want to cut out with scissors. Cutting with scissors is really, really a little bit primitive, and it's not very it's not very what's the word that I'm looking for, right? Efficient. That's the word I was looking for. It's not very efficient at all when you're using scissors to do this. So that's why I'm showing you how to cut this. You got to line it up, and once you practice, and this is what I'm going to recommend. I'm going to recommend you practice using this, the Lesion cutting system, if you will. Practice using it with some cards that you don't care about. Or with something, so you get a system down. Once you have the system down, it'll go way faster. Now, I do use scissors to separate the smaller part here, if I can find them. Yeah. So I do use scissors to cut this part right here, right? And I go like that, and one cut. And I'm cutting a second Mets team. Somehow they printed by accident. I don't know. I may have hit print and it wasn't printing, and then I said, oh, maybe you didn't read it, so I hit print again. That's your biggest nightmare. Don't try to avoid that. Go into the system and look and see what's on your queue, and if it's there, then turn everything off and turn everything back on, because that happens a lot, where you hit the print, it doesn't print, so you hit the print again, and it doesn't print, so you hit the print again, and all of a sudden, you turn off the computer. The next time you turn it back on, everything starts spitting out cards like crazy. So just be aware of that. And I just wanted to show you. So now I got the cards set up here. And I'm just showing you how to use the Lesion cutting board system It's about $13 or $14, but man, it makes your life a lot easier. And practice with cards that you're not interested in, or with something else. Put some lines on paper and practice. And once you practice, man, it gets pretty quick and you get really good at it. Now, I screwed up the first time around, all right, and I cut some cards. I cut a chunk off cards because I was learning where the line was, how to do this. But this makes it way faster, way more efficient. And this is the way you have to go if you have to. You see, with Deep Drive, you're forced to do the PDFs. So, and that's about it. So my next video is going to be a unboxing. I basically traded a 2015 Stratomatic set that I had extra. I have two of them, one that I'm using and one that I had just sitting there. And I traded it for a 1973 replay baseball set. And that's very cool. So I'm excited about looking at what I received. And I received more than I thought. All I was getting was the cards, or were the cards. But the gentleman sent me a whole game box with a bunch of stuff inside. So that's the stuff I wanted to look at. I wanted to look at the cards, and I'm going to be. I started playing them last year, and I'm going to continue playing replay baseball. I'm going to get better at it, and it's a fun system. It's just another system, and I noticed that when I switched from one system to the next, I feel like the neurons are really pumping in my brain. I feel that I'm alive, you know. So anyway, that's all for now. This is CP Cards and Dice. I wanted to show you this system. Let me show you what it's called. It's called a Lesion system. It's a easy cutting board. It comes just like that. What is it? About 12 inches by, I guess, 8 inches. And it's about $13. And I showed you how easy and quickly it cuts the cards. All right. Now, I'm learning. I am learning the what we call inside pitch. So the first thing I did, instead of buying $60 worth of cards, I said, well, let me buy a $7 PDF. Right, that's another reason for this cutting system. Before I'm going to invest $60, I said, let me try out the game. Let me try to learn the game. Let me play a couple of games with a $7 PDF. I'll see the rules. I'll see the cards, and then I'll play it, and then I'll learn it, and then I'll say, this is really cool. Now, these are black and white. The actual color cards are gorgeous. So now, one thing that you can do with this that's really cool with these cards, they're not really like the matrix doesn't fill up the whole card, so it's not cluttered. So you can cut off the edges, and they look really nice when you cut the edges. See, look at that. I'm going to show you look how nice they look when you cut the edges off. Look at that. Tropicana Field. Look how cool that looks. So I can get their starting lineup, for example. Not that I remember the starting lineup. This is the 2008 set. This is what you get for free. I know Matt Garza was important. Well, I'll look for the guys that are injury 0. So this is the inside pitch 2008 World Series set. James Shields. He has a 0 injury, so I know he's a big pitcher for them. So I'm going to cut him out like this. So this is just basically a corner trimmer, and you can get these for $3. They come from China. You get them at on eBay. Now I'm looking for the starters for the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm looking, and the way I'm doing that is just look. Carlos Pena, injury 2, so I remember him. He was their first baseman, I believe. And I can also look at the stats. Yeah, he had 31 home runs, so he was definitely a starter. So I'm sharpening the look of the cards by cutting out the edges. You see that? This is just a set that I'm going to learn with, and then once I learn, I'm going to invest a little bit more. Zobrist had 200 at bats, so he's definitely somebody that 300 at bats for Willie Ibar. So he's probably somebody who's going to be in the rotate or in the lineup, so I can prepare him. Zobrist is probably Carl Crawford had 400 at bats, so he's another starter. And so And this is really cool here, and it makes the cards look a lot nicer, a lot sweeter. So that's another thing that I wanted to share with everybody. So Johnny Gomes, did he start? No, he had 150 bats. Ruggiano, Fernando Perez. So I'm looking at the stats at the bottom of the card. Cliff Floyd had 250 at bats. Now, I don't know. I don't remember if he's available for the World Series, but I'm going to prepare him anyway, just in case. B.J. Upton, 500 at bats. So he's somebody that plays. Oh. All right, so this has gotten full. So the way you open in the back, you open it up, and you see that? I got to pop out all the junk there. Oh, don't want it to go all over my. There you go. See that? So now I'm going to throw that out. I'm going to throw that out, and I'm going to start all over again with a fresh little clipper, little corner trimmer, if you will. There you go. These are only about $3-4, and if you want to do these to your cards, I mean, to make them look a little bit sharper, a little bit, more elegant, with the edges trimmed. Let's see, who else do we have here that is probably a starter. 527, Akinori Iwamura. He played second base. Iwamura. That sounds like a Japanese player. This is 2008. What is that, 11 years ago? I don't remember really these players all that much. A little bit, not that much. That's why I get the Topps card sometimes. Jason Bartlett, he was the shortstop for that World Series team. So I'm just doing the starters here just to show you guys that they, what looks nicer, right? You can this or that. I think this looks a little bit nicer, more detailed. What else? 345 for a guy named Gabe Gross. He was an outfielder. And you can do this without really, cutting out any stats. There's some, like I couldn't do it with this deep drive card. If I try to do that, I'd cut out information at the corners because it's kind of really spread out. But it also makes it easy to read. This is probably a little bit. This is the deep drive card, and this is the inside pitch card. So it's probably a little bit harder to read. Right there, you see that? This one's a little bit harder to read. It's a little bit smaller. This one's way easier to read, but it's kind of spread out a little bit too much. Maybe they should kind of push it a little bit more towards the center, so you can kind of you would have the opportunity to cut out the corners if you chose to do that. Let's see, there's probably a couple more players, and then the next video I'm going to have, as I said, I'm going to do an unboxing. Zobrist with 200 bats. I have a feeling he was available for that World Series. Now, this is one of my favorite teams of all time. All the Tampa teams were my favorite teams because I loved the way Madden used to coach, and I used to love the way guys could play shortstop and left field, and then they'd be at first base, and then they'd be at third base, and they could play every position. I love that about Joe Madden. So I'm a big Joe Madden guy. He doesn't like to bunt. I don't like to bunt. So he's more a guy that's going to minimize bunting. And I think he's going to be very successful. Well, he's been very successful, but he's going to even be more successful out in California. Scott Kazmir, he had a 152 innings pitched, so he's probably one of the starters. So I'm going to prepare him. Who else here? Elliot Johnson, 26 at bats. You get a lot of players in inside pitch. Evan Longoria, he was a starter. Played 122 games. And who else is here? This guy's another starter. This was their catcher, Dioneer Navarro. I think he's an ex-Yankee. So I'm just doing the starters, guys, just making them a little bit nicer. So when I play them, it'll be a little bit easier to handle. Hinsky was a starter. He's a right fielder. This is my new inside pitch cards. I bought them as PDFs, and I use this cutter, the Lesion cutter. which I demonstrated at the beginning of the video, so you can see that and go back to that. I highly recommend one of these cutters. They're $14, but they're going to make your life way, way better. J.P. Howell, he was important. I can see that already. J.P. Howell. Balfour, he was critical as well. Grant Balfour. Who else? Sean Riggins, 135 at bats. That's pretty much it. I think I got everybody, all the starters from what I can see. All the infielders and the outfielders. Jason Hamill was on that team. Edwin Jackson. Michael Hernandez had 15 at bats. So you get guys even with 15 at bats in these sets. So that's really good. That's good. Matt Garza, he had 184 innings pitched. So he's definitely going to be one of the starters when I replay the series. So let me do that. And when I replay the series and I learned the inside pitch system, I'm gonna basically play 3 innings at a time. I'm gonna play 3 innings at a time as I learn it, and then I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna think about what I did. I'm gonna reflect a little bit, and then I'm gonna go back to play the next 3 innings. And I may play a 7-inning game. The first few games I play, maybe 7-inning games, just so I don't get overwhelmed, because I'm getting to know. I watched a bunch of videos on it already to feel a little bit more comfortable before I start rolling, and that's it. So I basically cut the corners or trim the corners. Oh, this guy Edwin Jackson was a starter. He had almost 200 innings pitched. I thought of him as a relief pitcher. I didn't know he was a starter. Holy smokes! All right. So that's going to be it. Rocco Baldelli, 80 at bats, 28 saves for Troy Percival. This was their main reliever. All right, so that's it for now. So this is CP Cards Dice, just letting you know what I'm up to and what I'm planning. Learning inside pitch, watching videos, reading the rules. And I'm going to be playing in a little while. I'm going to be doing 2 videos today. One video is going to be about an unboxing. I traded my 2015 Stratomatic for a whole set of, and the cool thing about when you trade stuff, guys are really generous, and you think you're getting one thing and you end up getting a whole bunch of other stuff. They just throw a lot of stuff in there. So I'm going to see what I got. I expected only the cards, like a little bag with some cards in it. And it seems that I got a whole box, the whole game box. So I want to show everybody that thing. And I want to show everybody the trimmer, and it's just an edge trimmer. They're called. I can't even see the name of this one. I can't even read what that says. CM. I don't know what that is, but I don't see a name. But you can get. There are hundreds of these. I got like 3 of them. They're $3 or $4 on eBay. So you can pick up those, and whenever you want to trim some cards, if you ever do, you'll have one. And then this cutter is basically called Letion cutter, and Letion, and you can pick that up for about $13 or $14. And this is easy; you can maneuver it easy. It's again about a foot long, and it looks like one of those pieces that when you go to the shoe store, you put your foot in it. It's like a metal piece, and they can adjust it to fit your foot. That's the size of this thing. So it's very lightweight. Okay, so you can store it anywhere you want. And man, it does a nice job of cutting. And this is I'm not sure what the blade is, but that blade is going to last. It's probably, it's a glass, a very sharp something or other, and that's not going to dull right away for sure. You can cut probably 1,000 of these, cardstock sheets, and it'll last you forever. So anyway, that's all for CP Cards and Dice for right now. I will be back with the unboxing in a little while. So take care. Thanks for stopping by, guys, and keep on having fun with our hobby. Take care.